In professional sports, suddenly it has changed to where the player now is enjoying more of the income that's generated by their activity in this sport. Before, the owner of the team was the one that received the greatest amount of money. Now the player gets his share. They are the ones that perform, and they are the ones that people came to see, not the owner of the team. It gave us a little bit of financial stability by having the income that we got from professional football for the first year. After all, we had been married for 3 years at that time. I think that the experience of competition that you have in sports is beneficial to you in business life. Well, my football experience told me that I could absorb hard hits, losses, and yet come back and win the game. Serving on a bank board takes today much more experience than it did in the past. Before, many times you were dealing with a family situation. That if my cousin was your good friend, I'd give him a loan. Surprisingly, Armco Steel was not a customer of ours when we first started. It was several years later that they finally agreed to do business with us. Armco Steel was here as a producer, that there was a source of steel that had to be processed. And we were in a position now with a new slitting line that it was lighter and bigger than any other on the market. It took about 10 years for it to invade the market, and we were able there to control that for that period of time. In the process of manufacturing steel by the steel mills, they are given limitations to the size or width of the coil that they can produce to their customer. And we intervened in there and brought in the wide coil and slid it into the narrow coil for them and served it as storage and delivered it to them on time. That was the big thing for us, that we had this type of equipment competitors did not have. I located in Middletown because this was my home, and I wanted to be able to serve my family and be my friends and neighbors. The expansion of the city of Middletown into a larger corporation and to bring in more employment and people for work. Well, I guess when the public accepts what you are proposing to do, it's a very pleasant time. But when they are argumentative and come to you and try to change the process, that becomes very hard to take, because you're trying to serve what is the general need of the public. What led my decision to public office was my feeling that I could serve the community, and that I was able to do that. I had the time and I had the effort. We have encouraged growth and new corporations to enter the city and place them into a profitability operation. I believe this change to the city commission is that they're better informed than they had been 15 years ago. The communication system that we now have is much more involved than it was back then. My hardest vote would be very difficult to really pick out one instance that was so demanding. We had several times that involved the city in expansion or involved the city in its ability to perform what their real duties were for the public. Those that are considering running should get out into the public and become known, make people recognize them when they come in, and to get out and then be able to put forth projects that will be beneficial for the city. You can serve an individual very easily, but to serve the public and give them what they need and what they want is a little more difficult.